Europe is certainly one of the safest continents, but crime rates vary significantly between countries, and there can be quite risky places in some aspects. To compile this ranking, we analyzed real crime data from various nations and discovered some shocking findings. We examined homicides, robberies, rapes, burglaries, motor and vehicle thefts, pickpocketing, and drug-related crimes. We advise you to read the description carefully to understand our sources. Here is the top 10 list of the most dangerous places in Europe. Number 10. Finland. Finland is often ranked as the happiest country in the world. With excellent education, a stellar healthcare system, a good work-life balance, and other factors like its marvelous nature and gender equality, it stands out. However, based on reports filed with Finnish law enforcement, the country ranks 10th in Europe for the crime rate. Interestingly, Spain and Norway also share the same score as Finland, but this Nordic country places within the top 10 in 4 out of the 7 crime categories mentioned earlier. It ranks 7th for rapes, 10th in burglaries, 9th in motor and vehicle thefts, and an alarming 3rd in drug-related arrests in Europe. Alcohol appears to be a significant issue in Finland, as the majority of criminals and victims of violent crime are under the influence of alcohol during the act. Number 9. Germany. This beautiful Central European country is just a step above Finland. It appears in 3 categories related to the previously mentioned crimes. It ranks 7th for the robbery index, 6th for drug-related arrests, and 4th for pickpocketing. Nevertheless, it is a wonderful nation. Germans are known for their extreme efficiency and care for their surroundings. The nature, artistic, and architectural beauties are diverse, making it a country rich in traditions and recreational opportunities. For these reasons, like Finland, it is considered one of the best countries in Europe for studying or even retiring, as we explained in the videos we made on these topics. Number 8. Denmark. Denmark appears in only 2 categories, but in both, it holds high positions, which is why it ranks ahead of Finland and Germany in this ranking. In fact, it is 4th in Europe for rapes and even 1st in the burglary index. This wonderful country tops Europe in reported domestic infringements, with 694 reports per 100,000 inhabitants. Moreover, concerning thefts in general, Denmark also seems to be the leader with 3,949 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. This nation is considered one of the happiest in the world for many reasons, as we explained in the dedicated video. However, thefts appear to be a sensitive issue for this small yet fascinating country. Number 7. Netherlands. Tied with Denmark, we find another country ranked as one of the happiest in the world. The Netherlands is 6th in the robbery index, 7th in motor or car thefts, and 3rd in pickpocketing. However, this should not deter you from visiting as tourists. We remind you that this is a ranking of countries with the highest crime rates in Europe, but Europe is one of the safest continents globally, and the Netherlands, in general, enjoys a good level of safety. Moreover, they are well known for the quality of work they offer. In fact, it is one of the top nations globally in terms of job satisfaction and overall business culture. Not to mention the wonderful windmills, expanses of tulips, and beautiful cities waiting to be explored. Number 6. Greece. This splendid nation features in a notable 5 out of the 7 crimes we've analyzed. It ranks 9th in the robbery category, 8th in burglary, 10th in drug-related arrests, 5th in pickpocketing, and 3rd in Europe for motor and car thefts, with 228 thefts per 100,000 inhabitants. However, there is something to be said about burglary. While it has held the 8th position in recent years, the situation seems to worsen in the last year. According to partial data, this crime is significantly increasing in Greece to the point where it risks surpassing even Denmark, which, as mentioned earlier, leads in this category. Another interesting fact about Greece is that it's the first among the mentioned countries where the perception of crime aligns with actual data. In our video, Top 10 Most Dangerous Countries in Europe, we ranked countries based on the perception of crime by their residents. The other nations mentioned so far do not appear in this list, indicating a disconnect between the perceived and actual crime within their borders. Greeks, however, are fully aware. They rank 6th in Europe in terms of the perceived presence of crime in their country and consistently 6th in the ranking shown in this video analyzing real data. Number 5. Italy. Italy also appears on the list of 10 countries whose residents perceive a significant level of crime. In reality, it is present in only 3 out of the 7 crime categories we analyzed, but in 2 of these lists, it ranks among the top positions. While it is 8th in the robbery category, on par with France and Ireland, it is 2nd in Europe for motor and car thefts and 1st in pickpocketing. We want to clarify something about Italy. Some non-Italians, when they think of this wonderful country, immediately associate it with the mafia and believe that Italy is a nation with a high number of homicides. In reality, it is one of the least risky countries in Europe from this perspective, with only 0.5 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants, significantly lower than the top-ranked countries in the homicide category. And if you're curious to know which nations these are, stay with us until the final bonus. Italy remains one of the favorite destinations for travelers. In 2022, 200 million foreign tourists visited this country, and even more were there before the pandemic. Students and retirees also adore this nation, which is undoubtedly one of the countries offering the most variety of natural and artistic beauties globally, along with excellent cuisine. Number 4. England and Wales. England and Wales are one of the 3 legal jurisdictions of the United Kingdom. These 2 countries feature in a substantial 5 out of the 7 crime categories we examined. They rank 8th for rapes and drug-related arrests, 5th in motor and car thefts, 3rd in the burglary index, and 2nd in Europe for the robbery category. The crime rates in England and Wales have been steadily increasing for almost a decade, even when considering population growth. Currently, the crime index in these legal jurisdictions of the United Kingdom is the highest since 2006-2007. However, this doesn't deter millions of tourists who visit this wonderful country every year, drawn to the vibrant social life it offers, the splendid cities like London, Manchester, and Oxford, and the breathtaking natural wonders. Number 3. Belgium. Belgium ranks 8th in motor and car thefts, 6th in rapes, 5th in the burglary category, and even 1st in Europe in the robbery index, with an average of 140 cases per 100,000 inhabitants in recent years. In this category, it shares the position with Spain, which however does not appear in the ranking of this video, as it generally performs better in other categories. Belgians are also aware of the crime in their territory, as they too appear in the ranking of the top 10 European countries with the perception of a moderate level of crime. They particularly show awareness of the issues of burglary and especially robbery in their nation. This is clearly seen in the video we published on the perception of crime among Europeans. If you're interested, you can find the link above or in the description. Number 2. France. France ranks 2nd in the perception of crime, and indeed, it is also 2nd in this list that analyzes real crime data in various European nations. France is 8th in the robbery category, on par with Ireland and Italy. It climbs to the 6th position concerning motor and car thefts. It holds the 5th position in both drug-related crimes and rapes, and it is 2nd in Europe for pickpocketing. However, it should be noted that reports indicate pickpockets operate mainly in the Paris area, while the rest of France is relatively safe in this regard. In particular, the most favored locations by pickpockets include the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, and the Champs-Élysées, as well as various museums, railway stations, and metro stations. The majority of pickpockets work in groups and are often teenagers, as it is extremely challenging, due to local laws, for minors to end up in prison. Number 1. Sweden. Before analyzing the crime rates in Sweden, it's crucial to clarify a very important point. The data doesn't indicate that Sweden is a dangerous country, but rather that it has the highest crime rates in Europe. However, it's important to remember that Europe is one of the safest continents. Therefore, there is no need to fear moving to Sweden or any of the other listed countries, as they are generally safe places to live or visit as tourists. Sweden has emerged as the nation with the highest crime rate when compared to other European countries, not globally. That said, how does Sweden stand out from other European countries? It ranks 5th for the number of robberies and 4th for motor and car thefts. However, what propels it to the top of the list, with a significant lead over the 2nd position, is its 2nd place ranking in Europe for burglary and even 1st in rapes and drug-related crime. It seems that Swedes are quite aware of this, as they appear in the 4th position in the ranking of perceived crime by European nations. As for the crime of rape, there's an important clarification to make. In 2018, Sweden passed a law stating that sexual intercourse without explicit consent from the partner is considered rape. The approved text asserts that passivity is not a sign of consenting to sex. Perhaps this has contributed to the fact that reports of rape in this country are much higher than in other countries. As in most European countries, there is a slightly different definition of what can be considered rape. However, it's also worth noting that there are 6 other countries in Europe with a similar law, and only 2 of them, the United Kingdom and Ireland, appear in the list of the top 10 European countries with the highest number of rape cases. Nevertheless, the data for these 2 nations is much lower than in Sweden. But who commits crimes in this Scandinavian country? Authorities have been reluctant to publish official data on the ethnicity of arrested individuals, but they have done so twice, in 2005 and 2021. You can find a lot of information on this in the description. But in the meantime, we don't know if you've noticed that even though we also analyzed the homicide rate, these did not appear in the nations in this ranking. And this is what we wanted to talk to you about in the final bonus. In fact, in Europe, there is this strange case where nations with more homicides actually have a relatively low percentage compared to other crimes. But what are the 5 countries with the highest homicide rates? From 5th to 1st place, we have Moldova, Latvia, Ukraine, the tiny state of Liechtenstein, and finally Russia, with a rate of 6.8 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants. We also clarify that these are intentional homicides not related to wars. If you want to know more about the topic, we recommend watching the video, Top 10 Most Dangerous Countries in Europe, where we analyzed the perceived crime indices in various countries. It's interesting to watch both videos together to see the differences between what people subjectively perceive and what the objective data says. We are also preparing a video on the 10 safest European countries, always based on real data. We recommend subscribing to the channel and clicking on the bell so you don't miss it. Okay, that's it for this video. Until next time.